Alright. Hey, now I'm on the 16mm. Welcome back. This is my gear reaction video. So in this episode, we mainly talk about recently announced news and my reaction to those news. I got a list here. I put on my phone so I can refer back to them. So first, as always, introduce the filming gear and what I'm using, what parameters I'm shooting at. Excuse for my voice, I'm still suffering from the recent cold. So I'm using Canon R8 16mm RF lens at f1.8 in car, hanging up upside down, with a RAM windscreen suction cup mount, 1-inch ball system, and with a lavalier mic connected, battery pack connected, external USB battery, not using the internal without the dummy battery, so it's very easy. If I want to unplug it, I can use the internal battery continuously. So that's what I talked about in the last video. If you haven't heard about that, go back to check that out. I wish Ulanzi can have an updated version of their battery grip, which truly support PPS USB power delivery at 9 volts 3 amps, or at least communicate with Canon camera to actually negotiate at 9 volts 2.27 amps or above. At the moment, the BG3 or BG4 doesn't do that. That's why I have to buy an external Ramos, which is a true 30 watts battery pack at 10 milliamps hour. So it's the same claimed capacity as a BG3, but it's a square shape, so I have to find a way to mount this. Something coming up. In this video, I'm mainly going to talk about the hottest news is Sony announced the A6700, which is a successor to the A6600. It's a good long overdue upgrade, if you ask me, but it's nothing like what the YouTuber try to make you believe. It's revolutionary, groundbreaking, out of this world value or value king, best value APS-C. I just don't see it. Right. To prove my points, I actually compare. You know those YouTubers, especially the big YouTube channels, they got the pre-release samples, so they can't say anything bad about the sample they got. Otherwise, next launch they won't get sent the samples. There is commercial behind it. My channel is tiny, I don't get sent anything, so I only have a handful of subscribers and audience, so I don't care. I can talk whatever I like. What my point is, compared to Fujifilm XS20, right? Look at how a gigantic leap it did to the XS10. Improved autofocus, which is number one, improved IBIS, a greatly improved battery, right? So you got a new processor, new algorithm, you got a 6K open gate, right? You got basically everything is better. You got a full frame 4K 60, you got APS-C full sensor 4K 60, you got a 1.18 crop, so basically very minimal, right? And you got all these improvements at the cost of $300 increase. So at the moment, XS20 is $1,200 or $1,300, and then A6700 compared to A6600, Sony got 4 years in between. Well, the Fujifilm only got 2 years in between. So supposedly Sony need to have a bigger leap compared to A6600. Did it do that? Did it deliver that? Kind of, but not all. First of all, you can say Sony's autofocus is in the lead anyway, so there's not much leap forward for the autofocus department compared to A6600. There is, I don't have the sample, but I can tell from the review samples I've seen on YouTube, they still use the old APS-C IBIS mechanism. So it's the same FX30, same A6600, same old. So it's not the new one. It's not the new one from ZV-E1, not the new one from A7S3. So maybe Sony APS-C line never gonna get it. You never know. But so far, so bad. If you're talking about battery, it's the same. Well, admittedly, it was good enough, so there's no need to upgrade. But my point is, for 4 years, Sony didn't really deliver a gigantic leap forward as much as we hoped. If you compare the value proposition to R7 and XS20, I just don't see that as a value king, unless you have a bunch of Sony E-mounted APS-C lenses who have a lot of APS-C lenses, or just sell them all and buy a full frame. It's better. Simple as that. If you don't have any lenses, go Fujifilm. XS20 is more hybrid, more combined, more balanced between photo and videos. Or if you want to just save the money, start your live stream, buy a Canon R50. You don't need R10. You just get an R50. You get an HDR PQ, 4K at 30 FPS, and that's it. What else do you need? And yeah, I think $1,400 is not expensive by any means. But even compared to my R8, what more I get? I don't get it. Like if I, without a camera today, go to choose a camera, I obviously gonna go R8. Even without the end of financial year special, $1,500 compared to $1,400, why would I go APS-C? What more did I get? I get 4K 60 full frame. I get 4K 30 oversampled. I get HDR PQ 10-bit. I get 40 frames per second electronic shutter. I get a really fast scanning sensor. I get very low rolling shutter, very low jello effect. I get external mic, external headphone. Other than no IBIS, and then Sony's IBIS in APS-C line is not good anyway. What did I lose by choosing Canon R8 compared to an A6700? You said the lens could be smaller. Come on, you ask yourself, how can you do better than RF 16mm, RF 28mm pancake, and RF 50mm in APS-C line? Show me. If you only need this focal range, how can you get better than that? Even you add another RF 100 to 400, you still wouldn't be able to beat it, right? In APS-C, which is 70 to 300 Sony lenses, it costs more. It's an APS-C only, 70 to 350. You don't get bigger aperture. You got about same size and weight. And what more you get? I don't get it. So for 50 RF 1.8 at less than 200 grams, what you can get lighter than that by tuning APS-C? I just don't see it. And to get a 1.8 in full frame, you need 1.2 at 33mm, which you wouldn't be able to get at smaller than RF 1.8. Simple as that. There is no lens autofocus. APS-C only. Even in the E-mount supposedly have millions of lenses available, you wouldn't be able to beat that. And 16mm f2.8, you have no chance, zero chance. You got that 11mm, which is very good, but 11mm is 16.5. I'll give you that. So 1.8, you pay double the money, get an APS-C lens, very, very good one, a little bit narrower. That's the closest you get. So you get smaller sensor, everything got to be a shorter focal lens to get equivalent point field of view, and then you have to choose a zoom longer telephoto for APS-C only. And I just don't get it. I don't get the logic. For my purpose and use case, I love my RF 16. I love the 50. And if I'm gonna get 28 pancake somewhere this month, I think it'll be a good forward shooting with a handle, shooting what in front of my eyes with a digital enhancer step at 4K, like shooting families, my daughter running around, and those kind of things. It'll be fantastic, like real world dual eyes field of view lens. But if you think APS-C is better, it's up to you. You might get better if you choose something like a Sigma 56 1.4, which at best is like f2.85. So what big deal about that? I mean, it's okay. It's not cheaper than the RF85. It's not more useful because RF85 would double as a micro lens, and then what do you get? You get a little bit faster autofocus, but then you get less reliable tracking performance. If you choose Sony's own APS-C, does Sony even have an APS-C portrait lens? I don't think they do. What they have a 11mm, a 15mm, and a 30mm. I can't remember. But all in all, I just don't see it, right? The second one I want to talk about is at the same day, Sony announced the M1, which is a on-camera digital mic, which is the one I really, really like. If you're talking about technology advancement in the last 3-4 years in the accessory department, I think digital audio is one important part. 32 float and all that. We haven't seen on the M1 yet, but it's coming. You can see it's definitely coming. But the M1 already got a safety track, so you equivalently you get almost like 32-bit float recording, and then you got multiple up to 8 patterns to choose from. Right, it's very, very useful. But the it's not menu integrated yet, so you can't choose it on the back screen. You can only choose by the knobs, so it's a little bit fiddly to choose. But that's what I think Canon needs. I love Canon. Canon actually put more innovation in lens design than Sony. Lens design innovation is not all about the top-end lenses. Guys, lens innovation, it happens at all costs, over the spectrum from the cheapest to the most expensive. Canon's cheap lineup are wonderful. If you ask me, 16mm f2.8 was the first. No first party manufacturer has a 16mm this wide, this capable, and this cheap. And the i50mm, nothing wrong with that. It's old design, a little bit simpler, whatever, but it's cheap, right? RF28, look at the last 3 group of the lenses they use. It's definitely groundbreaking. People say, you still get distortion and all that. All lenses moving forward are gonna get huge distortion. There's no exception. Get it. In the mirrorless age, digital correction is a part of the lens design. You will get huge distortion, uncorrected raw file, no matter what manufacturer you're talking about. All right. Sigma used to be the best corrected lenses. Now they are the most aggressive in uncorrected distortion in their new DGDN lineup. There's nothing wrong. It's sharp. It's great micro contrast, fast autofocus, and then you just need to let the camera do the distortion correction. There is nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. However, Canon, despite putting a lot of effort in innovating in cheap lineup, in their L lens designs, I just don't see as much. The 100 macro become 1.4 times, kind of a small step if you ask me. The 70 to 200 f2.8 is definitely a good one. So it's external zoom, but it's so small. A professional L-grade telephoto zoom lens, so small. It's just fantastic. 100 to 500, great. Everyone loves it. Everyone used it. Everyone loves it, right? If you're talking about where's my 35L, where's my 24L, where is the supposedly tilt shift autofocus lens, where is the 60 65 macro in RF mount by moving the front to focus. There's no focus ring, right? Canon still got work to do, but the biggest gap they are to Sony at the moment, I think it's on-camera XLR and those on-camera digital microphone. The Canon E1D, that's stupid, only one choice in their digital microphone, is stupidly large, not very good sounding, very expensive. Well, Sony gave you G1, the B10, B1M, and now the M1. I think the M1 is a complete package. You got 8 patterns to choose from. The one I think is most useful is the directional super cardioid, and then the double super cardioid is most useful. I don't think the Omni is much useful for me, but if you shooting wildlife or natural sound, you might want that, or multiple people talking more than 2. But for my usage, I either shoot to myself or I shoot both the front and the back. I'm behind the camera and someone I'm talking to in front of the camera. I think that's wonderful. You have no cable and you have no internal battery. It got the power, it sends the audio back to the camera. That's wonderful. And it's even got a 4-track recording, so it can record a Omni anyway on the 4th track, and on the 3rd track it will record a 20 dB lower safety track, so just in case it got cracked and pop audio like that. Yeah, I wish Canon could announce something similar like that. I believe given the time, it will. And also the stupid test cam unit. I could have bought a Zoom F3 for the same price of that test cam unit. What's the point of having that test cam unit so bulky and large just to offer 2 XLR? I want Canon to announce something really tiny, minimal design, 1 XLR, and use digital audio. Don't use external battery. That's it. Test cam can do it. You can do it, Canon. It's not that hard. Another thing I want to talk about is Nikon. Everyone say Nikon is on the rise. They got their 180 to 600. They got their Z8. Well, what my takes on that is Nikon has done some overdue work, but saying Nikon has bounced back and re-entered the race to be the top manufacturer of the camera market, it's delusional. Delusional like Arsenal TV saying they could have won the next Premier League or Champions League. They could have signed Neymar. It's same level of delusion. It's a good lens, but what I heard, all Nikon's Super Tele are very sharp, but not as fast focusing and not as reliable in tracking, especially paired with a body not Z8 or Z9. It's just still lots of work to do. Let's put it this way. So what I'm saying is, you can say Nikon is bounced back from where it used to be 3-4 years ago, but you can't just say Nikon is threatening the top 2. I think there's still pretty big gap between them and Canon and Sony. Sony's 200 and 600, how long it's been on the market? 5 years, I think, maybe longer. 180 to 600, how does that revolutionize the 200 to 600? Nothing. Obviously, I like the Nikon's new DX 24mm prime lens. I think Canon need that as well. So it's got R7, R10, R50, R100. It doesn't even have a prime to shoot with. Whereas the EFM 22 f2, make it an RF mount, you will sell millions immediately. Just get it out. Lastly, I want to talk about the news about Samyang join the L mount. I wish Samsung joined the L mount, but it's NX500, still a fantastic 4K camera. 7 years ago it was announced. Unbelievable oversample PDAF, and it's got interchangeable lenses, and it's APS-C, and it was not that expensive, and it was tiny. Marcus Pix, my idol YouTuber, he likes the NX. I like the NX500. But yeah, let's back to the news. The news is Samyang joined L mount. What my takes, not only to this news but to Samyang as a whole, I'm a little bit disappointed. When they announced their 135 in E mount, when they announced their 24mm prime in E mount, I was really excited. They are on the rise. They're very excellent in optical design. But then what they did, they copied the Tamron 35 to 150 almost exact the same, and they announced the 24 to 70 not so successfully. And they said parafocal and all that, but it was heavy, it was bulky, it wasn't fast focus, and it has some optical flaws too. And the 35 to 150, it was almost on par with Tamron, but it was heavier, bulkier, not cheaper, a little bit cheaper, I'll give you that. But where is the innovation? Their 135 prime was top quality. It was almost a Zeiss 135 optical quality at 1/3 of the price with AF. That's what I call third-party manufacturer value. Right there, 24mm, almost on par with other manufacturers 24-14, the GM optical quality, even better chroma performance. At this level, I don't know what to say. It's not as good. Here is my take. Samyang as a whole, it's good for L mount. They're gonna bring all their existing lenses to L mount, or their best selling ones. But I want to see the real innovation instead of just copying and selling more copies of a lens, changing a mount. I think that's what L mount needed the most. Yeah, I still like the S5 2X. But I got R8, I'm happy with R8, but that camera is kind of still in my heart. That's why I pay attention to this piece of L mount news. That's all. It's been a long video. It's my gear reaction. It's some rant against the Sony new announcement. I know it's gonna get some backlash. And my hope for Canon. And to summarize, Nikon still doing good things, but still quite a bit of distance away from getting into the race again. So they're not in the title race yet. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Bye for now.